if you have a blow dryer, that would be helpful for today. And paper towel would be useful. And 2 water buckets. I'm going to try and turn the labels so I'm not endorsing any. There we go. There's 2 water containers, 1 clear, 1 for cleaning your brushes. Brushes, I have a number of different ones. I have a large one, which is a 12. I have a 6 and I have a 3. Nope, I have a 2. I'm sorry. I need to correct that. It's a 2. And I don't have a 2 for any reason, except that's the one I pulled out of the bag this morning. So colors are red, blues. We'll use the red and the blue together to make a little bit of purple. Some yellow if you've got it. What other colors are in this picture? I think when we mix a few of them together, we'll get the dimension or the depths that we need. So the picture that's up beside where I am on the camera, that's the picture we're going to work on today. If your colors are not exact, this is just an example to show you that if they're a little bit darker in the background or a little bit lighter, you're still going to get the same effect. We're going to do the tree on the side and the smaller trees on the other side, and we're going to leave some white in the bottom for snow. So if your neighbor, your friend who you're painting with, someone beside you, or you're looking at other people's pictures at the end, they're not all going to look identical. That's part of art and accepting our own creations and being happy with them. So, and release. There we go. Now we're in art mode. We are ready to go. So just if anybody is new to the art program, I'm the watercolor artist. My name is Cathy. Welcome. I am starting with a blank canvas, just like everyone else. There's no markings on here. I'm going to use my largest brush. I'm going to dip in my water. So I have 2 water dishes. One I keep clear, one I use for cleaning my brush. I'm going to use the clear water, and I'm going to get the entire canvas wet. So I do have green tape around. It is, for my purposes, dollar store painter's tape. It doesn't tend to stick as much, so it doesn't rip the canvas. If you're buying official painter's tape, the expensive kind, take your tape off very, very slowly because it does really hang on. So you can look at the side of your canvas and see if you've missed any spots. You'll see a dry spot or a little dot. So just have a look against the light and just get that canvas wet. So what we're doing when we get the canvas wet is we're priming the paper to accept our paint. So I'm going back again. If you notice, I've done 1 coat. I'm going back again, and I'm doing another light coat of wet, just plain water. I want a bit of a shine on my paper. I want it to move when I put the paint on. So it's a bit of a cool day in this picture, so we're going to use ultramarine blue. It's a cooler color. I'm going to start with the ultramarine blue right on my canvas, and still with my larger brush, I'm doing wet on dry, and I'm just going from side to side. I'm not adding any more paint than what I started with. I'm just going from side to side, just allowing that paint to come off my brush and move down the canvas. So by the time I get near the bottom, it looks like there's hardly any there, but there is a bit of a color there. And while that canvas is still wet, I'm going to dip my brush back into the water, into what's called brilliant red or cad red, whatever red you use. And halfway down the page, I'm going to start to add this red. Now it looks pretty strong right now.
Kathy, did you take that blue all the way to the bottom?
All the way down to the bottom, and then I put that red on, and the red is too dark for my liking, so I'm putting blue on top of it. And again, I'm bringing that all the way down. So I want to take that right over to the sides, so I can go right over to the edge of the tape. And I'm just going from side to side. So, and I did put red on there, but you can see once that red and that blue start to mix, and I'm going to continue to rub from side to side, just softening that color out. And then as the blue blends in with it, it starts to become a mauvey color. So at this point, I've got my blue, I've got my red mixed in with the blue, and then I'm going to use a paper towel. And I'm going to wipe off the bottom. So I've just used a damp paper towel, and I just went right across the bottom and wiped that off. So I'll still have a little bit of a pinky blue hue there. But in order to get that even and let that flow all the way down, you need to do that, and then we'll wipe that off. So if that paint seems to want to be running in there again, just give another wipe with a paper towel, just gently, not to damage your canvas. It may have a pinky blue hue, that's okay. Just wipe it so that most of the color is gone. We do want to have that look like snow, but we're going to cover a good part of it, so not to worry. Yeah, so if you just can get a nice line across there, that will work. Now above that line in the center, we're just going to wipe out a little edge, sort of like a little bump. We're going to add yellow, just a light yellow, and it's going to dry lighter than how you put it on. So we just want a nice little soft yellow in there. Okay, if you've got this far, you've got your blue, you've got your red mixed with the blue that's kind of a purpley pink. You've got a little yellow spot in the center, and you've wiped off the paint at the bottom. Then we need to blow dry this. So we'll just take a breather. Go ahead and use your blow dryers. Take your time. If you want to know if your canvas is dry, if you put the back of your hand on your canvas and it's cold. Okay, so I'm going to mute myself. Okay, so we're going to start to create the field, or well, they are fields down below. And we're going to start just at the top of where the yellow is on your side. So again, I'm using the same color, ultramarine blue, and I'm going to do a little bit of a hillside coming down. Just painted a hillside coming down. So it's not as steep an angle across as yours. So it's actually in the other one. The purples and blues they're really nice colors to make shadows. So I want to start to create, so I'm making purple. So I'm mixing the red that I put in the sky and the blue that I've got in the sky, and I'm making a purple out of those two. So I'm just mixing the two together, coming up with a purple color, and I'm going to go underneath my top mountain, just underneath the edge. So I want the blue to still show, but I'm putting that purple below it. So I know I'm going on the yellow, so it's changing that a little bit, and that's okay too, but I'm just giving a little bit of a shadow underneath my edge. So my top is still blue, and the purple line is below it. So I'm going to run that purple on the other side as well. Oops, I just got blue. I'm going to run that purple on the other side as well, and in a wider band, just to the edge of the blue that's there. So we're creating a winter scene. I'm going to continue to add a few more lines of purple just to come to a point. And in the center, I just want a really dark line at the bottom, still leaving a bit of white showing. We don't want to cover up all the white. So I've just gone here, just that little arch. Now I'm going to use a bit of black and just really work down to gray. And I want a gray color. It's really, really light. So I want to add a gray color. Really, really light. You can just see that little hint of gray in there. Just in here. Just to that triangle section. I'm going to add a little bit of yellow just to the bottom of that gray, just blending it. So it is yellow, but I blended it with the gray. I still want some white in there, just a really light yellow. It's a little bit of the reflection of the sun in the snow. Then I'm looking for a darker color. So I, excuse me, if I work with the purple that I've got, that I've made with the red and blue, if I add a little bit of that yellow to that existing purple, red and blue, I'm going to come up with a darker color. And that darker color I'm going to use just to sort of make a rock formation in the snow. So I'm just doing just an up and down movement with my brush. So I just want a rocky area. So that is red and blue and yellow mixed together, which will give you that gray. It'll look dark. It's not quite black, but it's not gray from thinning black.
That's red and yellow and black?
Red and yellow and blue mixed together will
Oh,
give
very
you
good.
that. It's not,
Thank
it's not an onyx color. Yep. So we're just making a rocky formation. We're going to do the same color just underneath or just on top of that dark purple that you put there before. Just a little bit of back and forth. Just creating. So that's yellow and blue and red. So more blue than red, but adding that yellow will give you a soft gray color. But dark enough, and I'm going to go over it again with a fresh coat, just to darken it just a little bit. Just then we're not using black in the picture, we're just using the same colors, we're just intermixing them. Same color on the short hill, just a few spots. Still leaving white. I had a purple color here. I've left the purple to show through the top. I put it at the bottom. still
Okay.
leaving white below it. You can see the purple still shows through, but I've got that dark underneath to make it look like rocks are coming through in the snow. Now with a damp brush, so I wet my brush, I tap it off on paper towel, and I'm going to start to soften that hill. So I'm wiping with my brush, lifting off paint and tapping it on my paper towel. So I'm lifting off, I'm giving a nice clear line where it looks like that snow has moved on the hill. I still want my top ridge, but I'm moving some of that down below. And now I'm going to introduce a new blue. So I've got a blue, it's called Blue Lake. If you have cerulean blue or Prussian blue, light blue, sky blue. We're just going to add on a new blue to give that look. So it's a bit lighter to give the look of that melting snow on the top.
Thank you.
Yes, so you're adding that. So it's okay if there's still a little bit of light underneath it or it looks a little bit lighter. We're going to take that same blue and we're going to add it here and there throughout our picture just to give the look of some of that snow melting. So where I've got the pink at the side, I'm just going to pop it on top there. So I'm just going to here and there, just put on that look of melting snow here and there, but still leaving white. So this is a different blue. So this was ultramarine and this is Blue Lake. So we want to dip, we're just introducing a new blue just to give the look of melting snow. Now I just want that yellow just to go a little bit higher. So I'm increasing my yellow, just putting a little bit on above the edge of the hills. So just stretch that up a little bit, just with the yellow. So it's going to look a little bit different because it's sitting on top of a different color in the background. That's okay. Now these hills, I just want to work them a little bit more. So I'm using a little bit of a purpley red. So just want to work it a little bit more to give it a little bit more depth. So if you're inclined to, go ahead and play with it a little bit. Just give a little more interest. And if you think you're done at this point with the hills, that's okay. I like them to have more of a cascading effect. So I'm just adding a little bit of yellow on top and just blending that down. If you have white, leave the white. The white is what will give it that effect of snow. And I'm just going to add a little curve just to give a little more. I think sometimes when I'm painting, I work it and work it and work it. And I think that's part of what makes it interesting, that it's never, well, it is finished at one point, but you can continue to paint until you're satisfied with something. It doesn't have to be over because the class is over. So we can add some little dark spots in there, just here and there. And if you decide you want to create a lighter spot and you use a damp brush, I'm using quite a large brush, but I can go ahead and I can create just by lifting off different spots, different areas. And once that's dry, I can start to add a little bit more. So we can play with this for a long, long time, but that just gives you an idea. One hill crossing over, the other one in behind, leaving some white spots, putting some dark in, and just creating that movement. So we're at halftime. I'll go ahead and I'll read the card if you want to continue to work with that. And this is an inspiration card. And Brenda chose our card today. So it says, this is inspiration. If you feel burnout setting in, if you feel demoralized and exhausted, it is best for the sake of everyone to withdraw and restore yourself. Wow, that's what the Dalai Lama has to say. So walk to your favorite coffee shop for an afternoon pick-me-up or brew a cup of tea as you take a few minutes to reflect and recharge. So I think sometimes we all feel a little bit of burnout setting in. And yes, you know, it's if you're hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, probably not a good time to tackle a big project. So thank you, Brenda. So we're going to go ahead from here and we'll do some trees. So I'd like to start with a blank canvas just to give you the idea of these trees. So these trees really are, for lack of a better term, a swizzle stick. So I'm using yellow and red to start with, more yellow or ochre, whatever you're using. So yellow and red, which is a little bit orange. So I'm just showing you a tree to start with. We're not actually putting them on the canvas yet. But when I start with my tree, if I'm on my hill, my largest tree on this side is a swizzle stick. It's just side to side, going straight up. And then I'll start to fill in little spots here and there for the branches of the trees. As I continue on, if I use that was the red purple or red yellow mix. If I add a little bit of the blue purple or just blue in there, I start to create a bigger tree. So then I can add the blue and red together, making a nice purple. And so I've got some dark here and there in my tree. So you can see my tree starts to take on a life just from doing a swizzle stick to start with. So now beside this tree, there is a little yellow tree, or I can do it in ochre. I think I'll do it in ochre. So if I was to move that over a little bit, my little tree is a swizzle stick. Beside it, I'm using ochre, and I want that tree to stay ochre, maybe with a little bit of red in it, because my sun is coming up here, and my sun is reflecting into the back of this tree. So on the side of this tree, more of my branches need to be red, because they're being picked up also from the reflection of the sun. So this is what we're going to continue to do with our tree, with our picture. So we'll start with a swizzle stick. So I'm using red and ochre mixed together. So I have an orange. And I'm going to switch to my smaller brush. I'm starting at the bottom. At the very bottom, my tree is sitting on the bottom. And then I'm going to make a zigzag stick all the way up. All the way up to the top. It's kind of like a little Eiffel Tower, sort of. Now I'm switching to a bigger brush. My number 6 brush. I'm going to the blue, the ultramarine blue. And mix that with red, make a nice purple. So it can be light or dark. And then I'm going to start to add pieces of my tree. And this isn't the end of my tree. This is only one step in the creation. So less at the top, or lighter at the top, or thinner. Now I want to move my tree over a little bit because I do want it to come right to the outside. So I'm adding those colors right to the outside edge. So that tree comes right to the edge. While that's still wet, I can go into the blue and start to add just pieces. I'm only touching with the side of my brush. I'm only touching to put colors on to add depth. And they get smaller as they go to the top. The bottom part was a yellow red mix that was our zigzag going up. The second one was red and blue mixed together to make a purple. And then the third time was just straight blue, which was the ultramarine blue. So it looks like it's purple, but this is blue. If I hold it close, you'll see there's different colors in there. So there's the original light orangey color, there's blue in there, and there's a purple. If I hold that really close, it doesn't really look like a tree, but if I hold that back with my scenery, it certainly does. So that's another thing that I would like to just mention. When we are doing watercolor, when we're painting and the canvas is right in front of us, it's easy to look at a picture and say something like, oh, are you kidding? Is this ever going to look like anything? I can't even imagine. We're looking at it so close that we can't, our brains can't seem to get a grip on how it's ever going to come together. So if you hold that picture back and have a look from a distance, rather than so close sitting on the table in front of you, you'll see how it actually does change your vision. It will change your view of your picture. So not to worry, there are times also, and I have said this before in a watercolor class, there are times when you look at your picture and you'll say, are you kidding me? And maybe that makes some of you smile because you've been there. Maybe some of you think, what? She's actually saying that. And it's true, because there are times in a picture where it doesn't seem like it's going to come together, but it will come together. Trust me on this. So next we're going to do that little tree beside. So that is in, we'll leave this tree for now. We will come back to this tree and add a little bit of red on the side, but we'll come to the little tree at the side of it. And again, we're going to do a zigzag. It's a small tree. It's not very big, but it is the tree beside it. So that's just zigzag. So this is ochre. And then we'll just start to give this ochre tree some ochre branches going a little bit bigger each time until we get down to the bottom. And we do want it to sit on the ground. So it's just ochre. Once you have that tree on, we'll just add a little bit of a few marks here and there of the ultramarine blue, just to give a little bit of depth in our tree. So that's right, it's just sitting right on top of the ochre. And if it starts to blend in and turn a little bit of a green color, that's okay, because evergreens do that. They retain some of their green over the winter. And we want that red color at the side of our large tree. We're going back to that to finish that one up. We want the red at the side of the tree that's coming from the sun, just to be popping out here and there on our tree. It's a little bit of red. Just the tip of the branches are picking up that sun. And we don't have to go all the way up with that. We've got a little bit of space in every now and then. We can see we've got a little bit of sky peeking through. There's room for the birds. That's nice. I'm switching over to the other side. I'll just move my hill up a little bit here. My hill just looks a little bit low. I've got red and blue, or red and yellow, so it's an orangey color on my brush. I'm going to start to create some swizzles up the side. So zigzag with the point on top. This is just my example to show you. So if I move this one out, here's my example. There's my tree. So with red and yellow mixed, we're going to have an orange color. We're going to start to create some trees on the side. So zigzag again, coming to a point. Some will be in front, and some will be behind. Some are bigger and some are smaller. We can even do the look of a tree in behind. And I've got little ones in the front, right at the base of the mountain or the hills. And then I'm just giving them a little bit of touch of color with dots, just like I did with the other tree, just with purple. So they're starting to get a little bit of definition. Yes, the sun is in behind. Yes, we're going right down to the base. So just like you did with the other trees, give them a little bit of branches sticking out here and there. They don't need to be full. It's okay to leave room for the birds. So my tree just seems to be standing all by itself there. So I'm going to just give it a little bit of grounding. I definitely wanted to have a dark footing on it, not to be sitting there by itself. So I can go ahead and put a little bit of dark purple under there. And with the tip of my brush, I can start just to move a little bit of that snow. So again, I'm going to add just a little bit more yellow up above, just in between those trees, just to lighten it just a little bit more up there. I just tapped on a little bit of yellow just around the edges of my trees. I'm trying not to touch those trees, but just to brighten it up a little bit in the background. And I painted this picture 3 times. So the first time you've got the example. So this is the first time I painted it. So it's very, very soft. This is a little bit more, and it's actually a bigger canvas. But this is a little bit more compact. And I painted it with a little bit more orangey background. So what I was saying to you, that they can look, if you're right beside a neighbor and your picture looks different, we all see things different. There's definitely more room for birds in this tree. There's not much room, it's a little tighter. It's a little bit more white in the bottom, a little more flowy. This one's a little more rocky on the bottom. So they all can look different, even when you're painting the same picture over. So that's what you can do in 1 hour. So now you just need to decide, where are you going to put your artist's signature? And I like to put mine right in the picture as part of it. So there's my signature as part of the picture. Kind of looks like a rock, but I know I signed it. It's down in the bottom right. And for your canvas, if you've used the green tape, go very slow. Your canvas will still be a little bit damp. So just from the inside out, take your canvas or your tape off your canvas very gently, very slowly. There's no rush. This is where it looks a little bit magical once this tape is off, because you'll have a nice border. And when you put your tape on, if you're careful to have it just about the same dimension all the way around, 1/4 inch, then you'll have that complete frame. And I say take it off slow, take it off painfully slow sometimes. I have tried to take it off fast, and it just doesn't work the same. And there is my picture complete without a border, or without the tape. So that's what you can do. Again, that's what you can do in 1 hour. And I'm looking forward to seeing what you have created. All right, thank you. Bye now.